So hi, hello and welcome again. And in today's video, I would like to introduce the plant kingdom to you. So I'll be talking about the different groups of plants that there are. And I'm going to show you those 4 different plant phyla. A phylum, that is the next lower category beneath the kingdom. And plants can be grouped into one of those 4 categories here. I will be briefly talking about them, but I'll spend much more time on the flowering plants because it's a very large and huge group here. So there are the flowering plants, the ferns, the mosses, and the conifers. And I'm sure that you've seen all of them already. You might not have known that they belong to the different phyla, but I'll show them to you. And I already have 2 pictures here they belong to the flowering plants, of course. That's easy to recognize because they have a large flower. But not all flowering plants have visible flowers. Sometimes the flowers are very small and you cannot see them. Yeah? And I'm also going to show you again something under the microscope. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to first talk about the mosses and the ferns. I'm going to get those out of the way quickly, and the conifers, so that I can spend the rest of the video mostly on the flowering plants. So let's clean away everything here a little bit. And I want to show you now a moss. And here it is. I've got some moss here in this petri dish. Maybe I have to turn this one here around to make sure that it's a little bit brighter. Otherwise, the background is too dark. Okay. Yeah. So that is a moss. You find them growing mostly in areas that are very moist and wet. And the reason is because mosses do not have any roots like the other plants. So when they want to take up water, they have to absorb it directly over the leaves. Yeah. And actually these are not even fully developed leaves either. Yeah. So mosses, they do not have leaves, stems, and roots like the others. And the roots that it has are not really fully developed roots. They're called rhizoids. Yeah. And you don't even have to know all of that. But I just want to tell you that, yeah, it's a plant which looks a little bit different than the other plants. Okay. So yeah, you can see that I put some water on here because otherwise it's going to dry out very quickly. And that's pretty much everything that I want to talk about mosses, okay? Because I'd like to move on, and for the ferns, I'd like to show you a video, okay? So a few days ago, I was walking in the forest. Here we go. Okay. And I was, of course, looking for some ferns. And after a few minutes, I found some ferns growing there. They also like to grow in a relatively moist area. And they have a very typical shape. Ferns are not woody. They do not make wood. And there is a very, easy way that you can recognize that it's a fern. What you have to do is you have to turn the leaf around and look at the bottom side, because in many cases what they have is they have those little interesting round, strange looking structures on the bottom side of the leaf. And these are so-called sporangia, and they make spores. So ferns, what they do is they reproduce over spores and not over seeds. And that is already one very important difference between ferns and flowering plants. Yeah, now the video starts to loop again. Yeah, so... And that's pretty much everything I wanted to say about ferns. Okay, the next time you see a fern, flip it around, and look at the bottom side, and maybe you're able to see those sporangia. Okay, so that's pretty much everything that I wanted to talk about ferns and mosses. Conifers. I almost forgot the conifers. You also know them already. Look, I'm going to show you another video here. This is a conifer. So pine trees and fir trees, they all belong to the conifers. And of course, they also have leaves, but those leaves, they look like little needles, of course. Yeah. And one of the reasons why they have this shape is to reduce the loss of water. Okay. So, yeah, you know what? That was already everything that I wanted to talk about concerning ferns, mosses, and conifers, because I'm going to spend now a lot of time on the flowering plants. And I would like to talk about the 2 categories of flowering plants that there are. Yeah, because the flowering plants, they can be divided into 2 important categories. Yeah? And I'd like to talk about them. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to show you what I've done a few days ago, because I did try to germinate some seeds. So let's have a look here. Yeah. So the large dark seeds. These are sunflowers, and the yellowish, whitish, shriveled up seeds. That's maize or corn. And what I did is I wanted to grow them and germinate them. So I put a little plastic container with water and some tissue paper. And I put some moist tissue paper also on top. It's really important that when you want to grow some seeds, they need oxygen. Okay, they do not do photosynthesis yet, so they do not produce oxygen. They need oxygen. So I'm adding a little bit of water. Yeah, so this means that do not add too much water. Don't drown them in water. I put a lid on top as well to prevent evaporation, but there was still enough air inside the box. Yeah, so the video starts to loop again. And now a few days have passed, and I'm going to now show you, how it looks now. Okay, so I'm going to show you something here. Look, this is how it looks now. Yeah. Okay, here they are the sunflowers, and over here on the side there is the corn, the maize, and if you look very carefully, it doesn't look very nice. It's moldy. It's also grown moldy. Okay, actually something I don't like so much, but it doesn't matter. Because what I'm going to do now is we're going to have a look at the sunflower and a look at the maize, and I'm going to take them out. So I'm going to carefully take it out. And of course, the roots already started to anchor themselves in the tissue paper. So you see, it's very difficult to remove it. And you know what? I don't care. I'm just going to carefully take it out here. So that is the sunflower. And over here, I'm going to take this one out here as well. I'm going to probably... see, or maybe this one over here. Okay, this is, see, the sunflower is still here. Let's remove this. It doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to just rip it off. Okay, so let's have a closer look at them. And you know what? I'm going to lower the camera a little bit here, make everything appear a little bit bigger. Let's refocus this a little bit here. Okay, here we go. And you know what? I'm going to also use a white sheet of paper maybe as a background, and because otherwise it might be too difficult to see. Yes, I think this is better. Okay, so let's have a closer look now at this one over here. This one over here, that's the maize. You see, the corn over here. So when you eat corn on the cob, then you're actually eating this here. Yeah? And this here is the sunflower. And you already see that there is an important difference. Well, let's talk about the similarities first. Both are started to turn green. Isn't this great? They're now doing photosynthesis. And at the beginning, they're not green, but then they turn green. So the green part, these are the leaves. And look, how many leaves? How many first leaves? How many first leaves are there in a sunflower? 1, 2. Okay. And how many first leaves are there in corn? 1. Okay. So, and those first leaves, they have a name. Okay. Those first leaves have a very fancy sounding name. They're called cotyledons. Okay. These are the first leaves. Yeah. And what we already have here is we have the 2 different big classes of flowering plants. Okay, those here that have only 1 leaf, we call them the monocots. Okay, so I'm going to put it here. Yeah, mono means single. Yeah, they have only 1 first leaf, and they have long, slender leaves. So you see the leaves over here; they're long and thin and slender, and they have parallel leaf veins. I'm going to talk about this later a little bit. Okay, what this is, and so these are the monocots. Yeah, and over here, the other group, they are the dicots. Di means 2, and the dicots, they have 2 first leaves, like the sunflower over here. Okay, and the leaves are also much broader, they're wider, and they have branched leaf veins. So I'll also talk about this later on. Okay, so so this is already an important distinction within the flowering plants, the monocots and the dicots, and this is the reason why I made this. Here, I'm going to move the camera up again. Okay, here we go. Refocus. Yeah. So the 2 big categories of the flowering plants are the monocots, okay, here, and the dicots over here. Okay, yeah. Maybe we should put it in such a way that you're actually also able to see it a little bit better. Yeah. So I'll show you those information cards later on again. And over here you have the 2 pictures. This picture over here, that is a dicot. You can see that the leaf over here is a broad leaf, and it's branched. And it's a dicot. And this one over here, you can already see the leaves are very long and slender and thin, and the leaf veins are parallel. And therefore this here is a monocot. So just by looking at it, you're able to see already a distinction. You know, I have to reach over again because over there next to the window, this is where I'm back. Here it is. Look, this is garlic. And I would like to now know, is garlic a monocot or a dicot? So I take it out, and I'm going to remove a little bit of the water here. And I don't see any leaves yet. The leaves, they have to come out here on the top, okay? Oh, look at this. Look at this. Is there something coming out here already? I wonder, is this one leaf or are these two leaves here? It looks actually quite similar to this one over here, does it not? So a garlic is a monocot, and a second way that you know is because there are many tiny roots. There is not one main root and then side roots, but there are many tiny roots here coming out at once, and therefore a garlic is a monocot. Okay. So that is simply a very short intro into mono and dicots. Well, so I found this plant here in my living room. That's a nice way of putting it. Well, I've been decorating my apartment with different plants, and this is so-called a spider plant. And what do you think? What is it? Is it a monocot or is it a dicot? But just by looking at the leaves, you already know that it must be a monocot. And then this one over here, this is bamboo. You see that the leaves do look quite similar. So, and of course, it's also a monocot. So for example, grass. What do you think? What about grass? Is grass a monocot or a dicot? Well, it's also a monocot because the leaves are very thin and slender. I just want to show you now something again here. I've got one of the leaves of this spider plant, and by testing it, what you can do is you can try to rip apart the leaf, and when you split the leaf, you see that you can split it along quite easily, along its length. And the reason is because there are the cells that transport water are all parallel. So the so-called leaf veins, they are not branched. They are all parallel. Like over here, I already showed you before. You see that the leaf veins that transport the water, they spread apart and they become finer and finer and finer and smaller. So that's a dicot. But in a monocot, it looks like this. I cannot restrain myself. I just want to show you something. When you have some grass, now this is not grass, okay? But let's say that this were grass. Just there's a cool thing that you can do with those monocot leaves. Look what I'm doing here. I'm stretching it. Maybe you already know this. Okay. And now it's stretched here, and then you do the following. It starts to vibrate, and it makes that sound. It makes an even louder sound if you take two of them. Okay, so that's an advantage of a monocot leaf, that you're able to make a little bit of music. Okay, okay. So back to serious again. I'm going to now clean up this chaos here so that I can show you how monocots and dicots, how those leaf veins, how they look like under the microscope. Okay, because the way that they're arranged in a stem also allows you to make a distinction here. Okay, so what we've been doing here is this here is the cross section of maize, of corn. You see, this thing here, that's the stem, and this one is a sunflower stem, the cross section. And we're now going to look at those cells that transport the water. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over to the microscope view, and we're going to look at the sunflower right now. And in the corner, you can actually now see also my microscope. So, and I'm going to center everything, and where is it? Here we go. I have to focus this a little bit, and it is too bright. So, and not only that, I'm going to go up with the magnification a little bit because it looks nicer this way. Yep, and all of those round things that you see, these are the individual cells. Yeah. Now you might wonder a little bit, oh, cool, where is the nucleus? Where are the chloroplasts, the mitochondria, and so on? No, all of those cell organelles have been removed because it's a very thin section. But look here on the side, when you go to the side of the stem, you see those nice, beautiful patterns. Yeah. And you see that the cells have a different size and they're kind of arranged like in a circle. Yeah. So this is the center of the stem and this is now the side of the stem. And then if you go to the side of the stem, okay, and then you can see that on the side of the stem has cells. They're really arranged in a very beautiful pattern. And those cells, what they do is they transport water and nutrients up and down the stem. Yeah? And that's a dicot. And in a dicot, those vascular bundles, as they're called, those vessels that carry the substances like the water, are arranged in a circle. You see? It's always on the outside. So you know that this must be a dicot because those cells that transport the substances are on the outside. And in the center here, you don't find them. Yeah, these are just the regular cells. Okay, so that is a sunflower. I'm going to go up even more with the magnification just because it's so fun. Okay, so this is now using the 10 times objective, now the 20 times objective. I need to always increase the light intensity a little bit. Let's refocus. Yeah. You see that there are cells of all different sizes and shapes. You also see that there is a little bit of a color difference, and the reason is because this has been stained. The company who made the microscope slide, I did not make this one, okay, but the company who made the microscope slide used different stains and colors, to make it a little bit better visible. Yeah, so you see there are cells of different sizes, and they transport water up and down the plant. Yeah, and they are arranged in a circular way. You know what? I'm going to go now all the way down to the lowest magnification again, simply to show you here. Maybe that's actually is better. I need to do some adjustments to my microscope here. Okay, here we go. Okay, so I think that's better. It's now using the 4 times low power objective. You see that all of those vascular bundles are on the outside, and therefore it is a dicot. A little bit of dust. The long string that you see there, that's dust and dirt. It's not a very clean, microscope slide. So now I'm going to show you the other one, and the other one is maize, which is a monocot. Now let's have a look how those vascular bundles, how they look like in a monocot. Okay. Look at this. Those little, they look almost like little tiny faces. Do you see that? Yeah, those little round things here. Where are they? They're scattered throughout the stem. Look, they're even in the middle here and even in the center. And that means that this is a monocot. Okay. Yeah, there are more on the side here. But those little round structures, those little tiny, look almost like faces. Okay. Let me go up a little bit with the magnification here. Here we go. Yeah. So that is maize now, and that's a monocot. Yeah. And those cells, they transport also water and up the plant and nutrients and sugar that were the products of photosynthesis down the plant. So just wanted to share this with you so that you see that you can also see the differences between the different types of flowering plants also under the microscope. I like plant cross sections because they look pretty. They look pretty. They look pretty. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to go back now to the desk view over here. Yeah, and let's summarize everything that I wanted to say. There are a couple of important points to remember. Okay, so ferns, they produce spores. Okay, so they're not flowering plants. They're completely different plant phylum. Yeah, then the flowering plants, they produce seeds. We've seen that. Look, yeah, there are seeds. That's a seed. Sunflower seeds and the corn, that's a seed. Yeah? And monocots and dicots are 2 groups of flowering plants, 2 important groups of flowering plants. And I've given you an example here with a sunflower and over here maize, corn. Okay. And the cotyledons, these are the first leaves of a flowering plant. Yeah, so you see these are the first leaves. Later on, the other leaves will start to appear as well, but we still have to wait. Yeah, and the monocots, they have only one first leaf. Yeah, and the dicots, they have 2 first leaves, but I've also shown you that there are other differences as well. Like for example, yeah, the way that the roots are, okay, if there are many tiny roots, then this is shows that it must be a monocot, okay? Yeah, so, and of course, whether the veins are parallel or whether they're branched. Yeah, so you see that parallel veins allow you also to separate the leaf quite easily this way. You cannot do that with the leaves of a dicot because it's branched. Okay, so I think I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to put those back into the container here. I'm going to put them into the soil later on, and I think I'm going to leave it at that. I wish you a nice day. I'm going to put again all of those information cards at the end so that you have a nice summary. But see you around next time, and bye bye.